Gentlemen and female gentlemen, the new South Park is out. There were lots of things happening, which is why I didn't get to this earlier. We had to see Space King, obviously, first. But the new South Park is out. Apparently, it gets into Trump, it gets into Israel drama, which is always good because, you know, Jews are always the biggest controversy. So, lock in, boys and girls. Let's see if South Park is good. I'll be real. So far this season, little bit lackluster. I'll be honest, a little bit lackluster for a South Park season. I love parody. I even like when you make fun of things that I do support. But it has to be funny, man. All right, lock in. Let's see.
So it's been a few weeks since the last episode of South Park, since Matt and Trey decided to delay the release of this episode for an
because Charlie Kirk was killed.
Extra week, citing the fact that they just didn't get it done in time. Now this
no one believes that. It was because Charlie Kirk was killed and they made fun of him.
It's pretty surprising to me considering they've been making all of their episodes in 6 days for the past like 25 years, and in that time they only ever missed the deadline once due to a blackout at South Park Studios back in 2013. So to hear that they missed the deadline when they had a whole extra week to work was kind of weird to me. But it's okay, a delay really shouldn't change.
It's because Charlie Kirk was killed and they made fun of him like 2 weeks before that. That's why they did it. There's no way there's another reason.
That much. I mean, how much could the current cultural landscape of the US really change in a couple of weeks?
Right?
Oh, wait. Yeah, so I saw many people speculating that they actually had to completely rework this episode following the death of Charlie Kirk, who they had just parodied only a few episodes ago, but personally, I don't think that's the case. It wouldn't have really made sense for them to be making another episode about him, considering...
No, I just think they wanted to take some time off to clear the air. Honestly, I think that's why. I think it's because they made fun of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was murdered, was assassinated 2 weeks later, and South Park was getting a lot of shit for it. So I think they wanted to take a week because this traumatized them, to be honest. I think they were traumatized. Maybe they did miss the deadline, but if they did miss the deadline, in my opinion, it's because they were traumatized. It's because they made fun of a man, and 2 weeks later he was killed.
He hadn't done anything super relevant since the episode was released. Not to mention the fact that the idea of South Park pulling punches at the risk of offending people is about as likely as Pip becoming my favorite character.
Yeah, but I don't think they did this because of offending people. I don't think they care about backlash. I don't think it's any of that. To be honest, I think it's because they felt horrible. I think it's because they felt worse about this than any other parody they've ever made.
But with the episode being delayed, I had plenty of time to wonder what their plan was with this whole situation. Were they going to talk about it? And if they did, what was their angle going to be? I mean, it's pretty tricky to try to make light of something so horrific so soon, but it wouldn't be the first time they had done it. But after finally watching the episode, it seems like they tried to avoid the topic altogether. Although, depending on who you ask, this episode might have been very relevant to that situation, considering they decided to take more than a few shots at Israel. It really felt like it was only a matter of time before they finally talked about it.
Obviously, they're going to do that. It's always the biggest topic. No Jews, no news. That's what they say.
So I'm glad to see that they finally did. But they actually tackled a pretty broad range of topics, including gambling apps, censorship, and the FCC. And obviously, there was a Trump plotline, which I think we can expect from every episode of the
JD48, JD Vance, it's the GOAT.
Season, but I think this episode did a really good job of moving away from the trap of just constantly dunking on Trump and instead just allowing him to be his own character
that's good.
And not focusing on his real life actions. They're definitely setting up for some kind of major arc with Trump, Satan, and JD Vance, and if they continue with this attitude of their characters being only loosely tied to their real life counterparts, I think it would make for a great arc. And you know, I was thinking about these videos and I can't help but feel like they get a bit repetitive sometimes. I really don't think I'm that good at doing episode reviews. So to try to spice things up,
I disagree. I love Bloom's videos. I really do.
A little, I decided for the rest of the season, I will write a short slam poetry verse about each episode, starting now. Nowadays, everyone's hooked on gambling, trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together, de-scrambling. Cartman
That's pretty bad.
defending the Jews. What could this mean?
Cartman the GOAT? The redemption arc? Oh my god. My guy? Yo, let's go, Cartman! My dude!
Kyle's mom is like the Karen Sydney Sweeney. Being a bitch is in her genes. The president is censoring again. The slippery slope is getting steep. He's the roadrunner.
If they actually make believe that Jimmy Kimmel getting suspended for 2 fucking days is like censorship and against freedom of speech, I will officially announce that South Park fell off. Because Trump was banned from social media, and everyone celebrated. But Jimmy Kimmel getting suspended for 2 days, that's invading freedom of speech? With all due respect, that is wildly retarded.
And Brendan Carr is Wile E. Coyote. Meep meep. Vance wants to kill Satan's baby. He never wanted it at all. He should have taken his master's word and slipped the dude some Tylenol. Okay, that was weird. Let's just talk about the episode.
Do that again. You're great. You don't need it.
So the episode opens with a kid giving a presentation to the class about the Weebelows, which is basically an extension of the Cub Scouts that I assumed was made up for this episode, but as it turns out, it's actually a real thing. The boys are more interested in determining whether the speaker is a guy or a girl, and when they don't get their answer, they
Honestly, it's important to know.
Decide to gamble on it through peer-to-peer betting. This is in reference to platforms like Kalshi.
That's really funny. It's a Polymarket reference. Polymarket essentially has become the ultimate pollster. A lot of people don't know this, but polls in the United States are incredibly finicky. Like, for example, they said Kamala Harris was going to win in a landslide according to the polls. Obviously, that's retarded. She lost in a landslide. Polls are incredibly unreliable. The number one most reliable polling method in the world right now is gambling sites. Polymarket is essentially a gambling site where you can gamble on anything. And based on the way people bet, it shows actual, genuine polls on a massive, huge scale. So before the election, Trump was winning the Polymarket polls because more people bet on Trump than bet on Kamala. Now that is how you fucking poll people. The number one best way to poll is gambling sites.
In Polymarket, which are basically the natural evolution of sports gambling where you can place bets on real-world events. For example, right now I could go bet on who will win the next US presidential election, will there be a new variant of COVID this year,
There's everything.
And most importantly, will Kai Cenat reach 1 million subs by the end of Mafiathon 3?
He actually does.
Cartman and Stan are really into it, but Kyle isn't caught up, so Cartman gives him the rundown of the bets.
Yeah, we know why, because Kyle's Jewish, and Jews don't gamble. Obviously, some Jews gamble, but not this Jew. Ain't no way. I ain't touching that shit. The idea of losing pennies with getting nothing in return. It frightens me. Did you know that I went to Vegas on vacation? I walked through casinos. I didn't gamba one time. I have never spent money on a gacha game in my entire life. And it's not out of principle. It's because it frightens me.
Will the girls' soccer team win on Friday? Will there be a snow day this month? Will Kyle's mom strike Gaza and destroy a Palestinian hospital?
Now, for those of you who don't know, Kyle's mom is essentially
That's amazing.
the OG Karen. She started a war with Canada trying to get Terrence
This is like the Jewish mom.
taken off the air back in the movie, ruined the school Christmas play because she felt like it wasn't intrusive enough, and all around has a very long history of just being an overbearing, preachy woman. She hasn't really had any large roles in the show in a long time, so I definitely appreciated the fact that she was able to reprise her role as the town Karen.
Why the hell would my mom destroy a Palestinian hospital? 'Cause she's a
He's Jewish?
Jew?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. All Jews do all the things. That's right. If one Jew did it, all the Jews did it. Welcome to Jews. That's what we do. You still get some guys that, like, you blame all the Jews for killing Jesus. I'll be real. That's pretty fucking crazy. I'll be real. That's kind of insane. But anyway, no, we get it. If one Jew did it, all the Jews did it. One Jew put woke bullshit in a Hollywood movie, all the Jews put woke bullshit in Hollywood movies. Get used to it, guys.
Fox News is reporting on these apps discussing how the most popular bet at the moment is what the gender of Satan and Trump's baby will be. We then cut to the White House where my favorite character of the season, JD Vance, is
the GOAT, the absolute GOAT, JD Vance, JD 48, JDV 48, he will be there.
Delivering gifts for the baby to the president. He tells the president about how much his life is going to change after this baby, saying that he won't have time for any of his leisure activities. Upon hearing this, the president immediately realizes what needs to be done. He's not exactly subtle about it, and Satan immediately calls him out.
You wanna get in a hot tub and smoke some cigarettes?
No, he's trying to kill the baby. Yeah, this is crazy.
You want to get rid of the baby? I don't think your followers would be very happy if we got an abortion.
Meanwhile, Kyle is pissed about people betting on the...
I mean, to be fair, I think the Christian population that is anti-abortion would be very pro-killing the spawn of Satan. Like, I feel like that shit would even out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to, like, put words into anybody's mouth, but I feel like the voter base that's anti-abortion would be very pro-murdering Satan spawn. So, like, anyway...
Gaza situation, and Jimmy suggests that he talks to the people in charge. So Kyle gives a call to the strategic advisor.
I mean, to be fair, he's Jewish. All the Jews are connected. I mean, obviously, this is a known fact. Average 10-year-old schoolboy absolutely has Netanyahu's personal phone number.
For predictive markets, who happens to be one of the most haunting creatures the show has ever seen.
God. Hello? They gave him real teeth.
He redirects him to the people who are actually in charge, the CFTC.
Hello?
But that's not the right place either, so he then redirects him once again to the FCC.
Hello?
Oh my god.
This character is obviously supposed to represent Donald Trump Jr., and I really love his character design of being like half real picture, half cartoon. It is genuine.
No, that is good. That's good. The hairline and the teeth is just cinema.
Genuinely uncanny with him looking like something out of an analog horror series. But in real life, Donald Trump Jr. is the strategic advisor for several predictive markets, including Polymarket and Kalshi. Now, interestingly enough, Polymarket has been banned from operating in the US since 2022 up until recently. And by recently, I mean shortly after Donald Trump Jr. became their strategic advisor. Obviously, this raised some concern, with many citing a conflict of interest, considering the platform was unbanned after the son of the man.
What do you mean? Just because he runs it doesn't mean he's like, it's a conflict of interest. He could be a completely unbiased party. What are you talking about?
And who can decide the legality of these companies is now in charge of 2 of them. Now, to play a bit of devil's advocate here, it's not actually as simple as Trump Jr. is in charge now, so it's legal.
Obviously not. That's the joke they're making. I mean, I don't actually care. I feel like this is definitely valid. It's everyone. Everyone's fucking evil. I have a really hot take. My hot take is there should be no government overlap with investment. I really don't. I think so. If you are, let's say, someone in Congress, I don't think you should have the right to vote in the stock. You shouldn't be able to invest in the stock market. You know why? Because you know shit. You fucking know shit, dude.
Polymarket was actually set to begin operating in the US after buying a CFTC-approved exchange about a month before he became the head. But the CFTC is of course controlled by the current administration, and at that point he was already in charge at Kalshi, so it definitely isn't the best optics. And this is what the show is making fun of, with Trump Jr. being in charge of the regulators and the regulators for the regulators. They're pointing out what they believe to be corruption. But Trump is busy setting up a Bugs Bunny-esque trap on the staircase to get rid of Satan's baby, but instead the head of the FCC happens to walk in at just the wrong time.
Brandon Carr,
The boys are busy discussing how Kyle's crash out has caused the odds of Kyle's mom bombing Gaza to go up, and Cartman starts plotting
I love that. I absolutely love that.
on how they can manipulate the odds in their favor.
It's called a conflict of interest, you guys. It's a way to make free money. Isn't that illegal? Yes. All we have to do is make sure Kay's angry, and at the same
I love how this entire story is just about insider trading. Like, that's the theme here. Like, that's what ties it all together. The fact that Donald Trump Jr. works with the FCC and the government works with the media stations that shuts down and silences people is exactly the same as the Jews control the media and manipulate the odds of fucking betting. It's the same fucking bullshit. That is the thread that ties the plot lines together. Insider trading. That's beautiful. I love that.
time go talk
It's an episode about Israel. It's all about insider trading. Coincidence? I let you answer that.
anti-Semitic shit about his mom to goose the odds up even more.
True.
Cartman is
All you need to do is spread horrible, tasteless lies about Jews, and it pretty much is a free money. It's free money online. I don't know if you're aware, but if you ever lose all your money due to drugs and hookers like Dan Blazarian, all you need to do is become an anti-Jew grifter, and you can figure that shit out. Like, I'll be real. All you gotta do is tweet some shit. Like, this is the game. It's called 4 Degrees of Jew. It's where you pick an atrocity and then you blame it on the Jews. That's the game. It's a pretty good game, honestly. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, for example, a man named Mohammed stabs someone in England. Well, there was a Jew on the board that allowed immigration that brought Mohammed to England, and Mohammed murdered someone because the Jew brought Mohammed there. It's the Jew's fault. You see, it's so easy. It's actually so easy. Like, pick any atrocity. I could figure out 4 steps to get to a Jew. I'm just saying.
successful in his rage bait, and he goes around the school convincing everyone that she might actually do it to get those odds even higher. Meanwhile,
World War II bombing Japan, dude, you're not even trying. You are literally not even trying. Are you serious? World War II, Hitler, war on the Jews because he hated the Jews, so it's obviously the Jews' fault that the war happened, that Japan attacked America, that America bombed Japan. Jews. Easy. Super easy. They pissed off Hitler. Yep. Easy. Please. Are we even trying?
Kyle's mom is eating with some of the other moms who successfully rage bait her into a frenzy about the Gaza situation, since, of course, all of them are betting as well.
It's not Jews versus Palestine, it's Israel versus Palestine. What are you putting your money on?
No, it's Jews versus Palestine. That's not. It is. Everyone says that there's a difference. There isn't. You know who doesn't make the delineation? You know who doesn't make the delineation? I do something called. All right, this is gonna sound really weird, But my perspective is, all right, and it's very simple. Does it pass the Hitler test? I'm sorry, but this sounds bad, but let me explain. Hamas wants to kill all the Jews. They don't actually care about Jews in Israel or Jews not in Israel. They say it themselves. They pass the Hitler test. Because Hitler wants to kill all the Jews. He actually didn't care about where the Jews were. It wasn't just German Jews, Polish Jews. No, he wanted to kill all the Jews. So if you pass the Hitler test, then it's a war on the Jews, not just a war on Israel or a war on the actual Holy Land, which is Borough Park, New York, which is the actual Holy Land. So if you pass the Hitler test, then it's a war on the Jews, whether you like it or not.
I mean, it's a ridiculous bet, but she seems pretty pissed off.
The president then switches up his plan, this time making a delicious soup for Satan that is absolutely full of Plan B. Once again, it doesn't work, and once again, the head of the FCC just happens to wander in at a bad time.
No.
It's funny how watching this show as much as I do, you begin to pick up on bits that they reuse over time. Because this is basically the exact same bit they did back in season 4 when Kenny's mom was pregnant and he didn't want a sibling, so he laced her drink with abortion pills only for his dad to drink it and have a very similar
I remember that.
reaction. Also, the president clearly isn't very educated on contraceptives because Plan B isn't an abortion pill. It works by preventing the pregnancy in the first place by delaying ovulation. So taking it after you're already pregnant wouldn't even do anything. See,
should have given him Tylenol. Bro, he's gonna give him Tylenol. No, he's gonna give him Tylenol. Okay. I think Blooms is a nurse, by the way, or something. Like, that's like his actual profession. Like, he is a healthcare professional, so he deserves it.
This is actually an educational channel.
Yeah.
Kyle's mom is ranting to her family about how Jews as a whole are being associated with Israel's actions. She gets so angry that even her own
South Park is really going to go down that path, huh? South Park is really going to say it's really mean that people are anti-Semitic against Jews because Israel is doing something in the Middle East. I'll be real, that is pretty lazy. It really is. People hate Jews because they hate Jews. The Middle East thing is just kind of an inciting factor, but realistically, Hamas always wanted to kill the Jews. Like, this isn't a new thing. All the people out there that are cheering from the river to the sea, bro, from the river to the sea means kill all the Jews in the land. There have always been Jews in Israel. Now, realistically, if you want to criticize Israel, that's fine. You have every right to criticize Israel. But if you're taking shit out on a Jew in America because you're criticizing Israel, well then, honestly, you don't care about Israel. You just hate Jews. And you're allowed. I don't advise it, but technically you're allowed. One of the creators of South Park is Jewish. Obviously, he's tired being roped into this shit because of something that's happening in the Middle East. But if something's happening to a Jewish guy in America, then it's not because of Israel. All right? If Israel doing something makes someone do something to a Jew, it's because they are fucked up and they hate Jews. And it's not Israel's fault. All right? You can criticize Israel as much as you want, to be honest. If you want to criticize Israel, power to you, whatever the fuck you want, not the point. And no, it's not inherently anti-Semitic. But if you're taking your shit out on Jews in America, it's not Israel's fault. It's yours. And this is a really, really lazy concept, honestly. But anyway,
family is beginning to question what she'll do.
The reality is, since this war started, since Hamas started this war in the Middle East, on October 7th, 2023, there were a massive increase of hate crimes against Jews around the world. Realistically, that is a correlation. However, that's not Israel's fault. You know how I know? Because the hate crimes against Jews started before Israel counterattacked in Gaza. Again, I know this is getting super into the weeds, but that's because I personally have had this shit happen to people I know directly. For example, after October 7th happened, when they murdered 1,200 innocent people in Israel, before Israel attacked back, they already declared a global day of jihad on October 13th, where they essentially announced to people around the world to kill your local Jews. And on that day, there were shootings in Montreal at schools, Jewish schools. There was constant vandalism everywhere, on synagogues across the West, for example. This happened before Israel actually did any attacking in Gaza. So obviously it's not Israel radicalizing people. Obviously these people just didn't like Jews. So it is kind of a lazy criticism. But anyway.
With Ike sneaking in a quick bet that she will strike Gaza.
I'm going to find out where all this is coming from, and I'm going to give them a piece of my mind!
Yeah, she's gonna Karen Netanyahu. Hell yeah, dude. Oh, no.
The adorable JD brings
the GOAT.
An adorable cat to the president as another gift for the baby.
Bro, he's gonna win the next election, and South Park is gonna need to keep baby JD for another 4 years.
Where he explains to the president how cats can actually be dangerous to a pregnancy due to being carriers of toxoplasmosis.
Now that's a loyal VP.
Which is a parasite that can cause a lot of complications in pregnancy if the mother is infected. And interestingly, this is actually the second time I've talked about toxoplasmosis on this channel, because I have a whole video where I talk about zombie parasites, and toxo has been shown to potentially have some insane effects in humans. Check out that video if you're interested. So the president immediately gets to work setting up a trap for Satan that would cover him in cat litter, but of course it doesn't work, and the head of the FCC shows up at a rather inopportune time.
This poor fucking guy.
Cartman is bragging about the fact that his rage bait got the odds all the way up to a 95% chance that Kyle's mom will strike Gaza, only for him to bet $1,400 that she won't. But just then, Jimmy comes to announce some bad news.
Mom's in Israel.
Oh my god.
Cartman immediately switches his tune and tells Kyle that he cannot allow his mother to do anything. Kyle then makes a call to the government of Israel,
Of course, obviously. He has the Jew Connect.
giving me probably my favorite joke from the episode.
No! That's amazing. That is absolute cinema. Donald Trump Jr. is the special advisor. That is cinema. Oh my god, that's actually fucking awesome. Bro, that's beautiful. I love that. That's a great twist. Because realistically, dude, I don't know, man. The weird marriage between America and Israel is like, bro, dude, Netanyahu should just fucking move into the White House at this point, you know? Oh my god, that's beautiful. Do you have any idea how many posters of Trump there are in Israel? Like, bro, you drive down a highway in Israel, there's a big poster of Trump. Like, you've never seen it. They like Trump in Israel more than they like Trump in America. That's crazy. Hello? Do you know they have a big sign saying Donald J. Trump, President of the United States, on the Israeli embassy? On the American embassy in Israel? Like, dude, you don't understand.
Meanwhile, Brendan Carr is in the hospital where he learns that he has toxoplasmosis. The doctor explains to JD Vance what this might mean for him.
If the toxoplasmosis parasite gets to his brain, I'm afraid he may lose his freedom of speech.
Chairman of the FCC loses his freedom of speech. All right, I see. That's funny. Obviously, the joke is the whole, the cringe Jimmy Kimmel thing, which is lame as fuck. But that's a good joke.
Yeah, South Park has never been known for their subtlety. But this is when we get the twist reveal that JD Vance has been the one pulling the strings this
The GOAT? The GOAT, JD48?
whole time, subtly planting these ideas into the president's head about getting rid of the baby, since he's next in line to be president, and a baby might get in the way of that.
Bro, he thinks the baby's gonna take the throne. There's no way. He's Game of Thronesing the president.
He remarks that if Carr keeps getting in the way of his plans, things might not go so well for him.
We can do this the easy way, or we can do it the hard way.
Oh my god.
This was one of my
The
favorite
GOAT.
parts of the episode,
The
and
GOAT.
with it, I can finally give the
Bro, there's no fucking way they put him in a Hitler salute cast. That's insane.
context that I've been holding back on this whole time. So following the assassination of Charlie Kirk, Jimmy Kimmel made a claim on his show that MAGA supporters were, quote, desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered him as anything other than one of them. He then segued this into making fun of Donald Trump for seemingly not actually caring about Kirk. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on this topic, and being that I'm a guy who makes a living talking about a cartoon on the internet, I'm sure you are all dying to hear my thoughts on politics. So let's talk about it. Now, first of all, the implication that the shooter was MAGA is just objectively wrong, and I don't think anyone really even thought that was the case.
That's not true. The retards on TikTok that just eat mainstream media slop believe it. But yeah, it's obviously retarded.
Most of the discourse,
Like, the guy that was an actual... The killer was a guy who had a gay trans boyfriend furry that he was living with, that he was on multiple Discord servers together where they were talking about socialism and progressivism, that his parents said that they couldn't communicate with him anymore for years because he fell down a trans ideology rabbit hole. He was a rabid anti-Trump guy that wrote anti-fascist shit on bullets, and that said that the reason why he killed Charlie Kirk is because he had too much hate. He's obviously a radical leftoid. There is no question about it.
I saw about this situation surrounded whether he was a radical leftist or a radical far-right like Nick Fuentes type guy. So the idea that this was a MAGA guy is pretty obvious.
Yeah, but it wasn't a Nick Fuentes guy. It was a leftoid. There's no two ways. Bro, if it was a Nick Fuentes guy, he wouldn't have said he was spreading too much hate. He would have said he's not spreading enough hate.
not true. But shortly after this, ABC announced that Jimmy Kimmel's show would be suspended indefinitely, following remarks from the FCC chairman, Brendan Carr, in which he mentioned that he found Jimmy Kimmel's comments disgusting, ABC's broadcasting license is granted to them by the FCC, and immediately followed that up by saying, quote, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way." Now,
so again, for the record, the FCC definitely does have the ability to do this, because here you have essentially a propagandist. Jimmy Kimmel is not a comedy show that's able to get away with stuff like this. Legally, they have every right to cancel his show. Legally. Because he is directly misinforming a population of people that watch him for the news. And the FCC does not actually give a license to this because ABC is being funded by the government. So the government should not be directly funding fucking propaganda news. So essentially, he said we could get him fired for pushing misinformation on purpose. That was what he said. And he's correct. They ended up suspending him, and then the leftoid media turned this into a free speech issue where he was being silenced, which is obviously insane because Jimmy Kimmel himself on his show celebrated Donald Trump getting banned from the internet, from Twitter and YouTube, when he was president of the United States. So they don't care about censorship. They don't care about free speech, obviously. And again, free speech would imply that they're arresting Jimmy Kimmel. They didn't arrest him. They fired him. His show is losing money, for the record. He was making a deficit of millions a year. So, for the record, you have the right to fire your employee whenever the fuck you want. Anyway.
to some, this may seem like a threat directly to ABC from the people who hold the power to revoke their broadcasting license. It certainly seems like ABC felt this way considering their decision to immediately suspend Kimmel after this statement. And this situation seems pretty familiar considering Stephen Colbert's firing a couple months ago after his comments about Donald Trump. Now let me...
Except Stephen Colbert was fired because his show is losing $40 million a year. Again, the context is really, really important. Like, Stephen Colbert was fired because he was losing money every year. That's why. These people aren't making money. They suck. They actually suck. Did you know that the average, a month of Jimmy Kimmel gets less views than me? Blue retard on the internet gets more views in a month than Jimmy fucking Kimmel. So yeah, no shit, they're gonna fire him.
Be clear. I think that both Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert are some of the most unfunny, cringeworthy comedians on TV. I think I'd rather watch A Little Late with Lily Singh than either of their shows. And if ABC had just decided to remove Kimmel themselves without these statements from Carr, they are perfectly within their rights to do so, being a private company. The problem is, when the federal government is coming out and seemingly threatening to revoke a company's broadcasting license because they said something they didn't like, to me,
not exactly said something they didn't like, because they purposely spread misinformation on a news broadcaster. That's not the same thing.
That is a blatant attempt at removing someone's freedom of speech.
It is also really not a blatant attempt at removing someone's freedom of speech. Someone's getting fired. Yeah, he was threatened, absolutely, and he had the ability and the right to threaten him. He shouldn't have, for the record. I disagree with what Carr did here. He should not have threatened him, but he technically could have threatened him, and again, freedom of speech would imply that he would go to jail, or they wouldn't let him get his voice out. No one deserves a spot on television, all right? This is coming from the perspective that Jimmy Kimmel deserves his role on TV. He doesn't. He does not deserve that shit. He can make a Twitch stream and start inciting as much violence as he wants.
You don't have to like what he said. I don't like what he said. But this country is founded on freedom of speech, which
again, Jimmy Kimmel supported Donald Trump being banned, supported Roseanne Barr getting banned, constantly.
means the federal government cannot control what you say. What he said may have been factually incorrect, but that's not illegal. If you couldn't lie on TV, CNN and Fox News would have been taken down a long time ago. And if you...
Yeah, the difference is you're not allowed to purposely, you are allowed technically, but not if you are under FCC regulations. If you are a government-funded company, you should not be allowed to lie on purpose. That's why CNN and Fox, they get around with the whole allegedly, This is allegedly. We don't know the reality, but, they get around that with the fucking lingo.
You know anything about South Park, Though
Also, I'm not sure. Is CNN and Fox subject to the FCC at all? I don't know. I know ABC is, but I don't know if CNN and Fox are.
one hill that they are willing to die on is freedom of speech. This whole Brendan Carr Looney Tunes subplot with the president is them making the point that the FCC is complacent in the president's attempts to silence the people he doesn't agree with Trump just bitching Carr around and humiliating him by forcing him to do his bidding. And all of this censorship can only lead to one outcome.
Again, it's a little lame. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit lame. I'll be real, because, I'm gonna be honest, the number one criminals in the country in regards to silencing freedom of speech is really not Team Trump. You know? It's really not Team Trump at all. It's kind of the other side that's like the anti-free speech guys. In fact, did you know that Trump just won a lawsuit against YouTube? Because when he was president of the United States for the first time, they banned him, and he sued them. So are you aware that Trump won a lawsuit against YouTube just this week? YouTube is paying him $24.5 million to settle for censoring him. Yeah, he is the victim, actually. Believe it or not, Trump is actually the victim of the censorship shit. It's really not the other way. So it's kind of lame that South Park is doing this. I'm not gonna lie. It really is. It's a funny meme, so I don't care. I actually think that South Park, this is a really good episode of South Park. Tying in the whole censorship, freedom of speech, Jews control the media. I think that shit's hilarious. But it's a little sloppy when in reality the criminals are on the other side.
Afraid he may lose his freedom of speech.
Oh yeah, and the way his arm is positioned in this scene
with the Hitler salute, that's hilarious.
Definitely doesn't seem like an accident. Now, of course, people are going to try to say this was a financial decision by ABC and it had
this wasn't, probably.
Nothing to do with Carr's comments, but
Colbert was.
Considering ABC decided to reinstate Kimmel after they lost nearly $5 billion in stocks, it's pretty clear that it was never business motivated. Carr himself even tried to come out and say that he wasn't trying to threaten them, but if you watch the clip where he says it, it is incredibly obvious that's exactly what he meant, especially considering he prefaced his statement by saying that the FCC is the one that gives ABC their broadcasting license.
And they have a license granted by us at the FCC, and that comes with it an obligation to operate in the public interest. And we can get into some ways that we've been trying to reinvigorate the public interest and some changes that we've seen. But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way.
And not to mention the fact...
Yeah, no, that's absolutely a threat. And I think it was really stupid of him to say.
That when the president gets on Truth Social and shares his...
Yeah, that was also maybe not a great tweet.
anger with Kimmel being reinstated, threatening to sue the company, it just goes to show what all of this was really about. Anyways, enough of the rant.
No, that was a bad tweet. But realistically, I actually don't give a shit. I think that I'm more than happy with Jimmy Kimmel getting axed. Because, again, he celebrated this shit the whole time. What's this, rules for thee but not for me? Absolutely not.
Let's finish up this episode. I was a huge fan of the twist that...
dude, the JD Vance, Secret Sith Lord. Oh, mwah, cinema. Dude, I love JD. They fucking did such a good job with him.
JD Vance was the villain lurking in the shadows this whole time. I already loved his design so much, and his evil face is really just the cherry on top. Although I do find it a little odd that he's so against the coming of the Antichrist, considering his ties to Peter Thiel, but that's a topic for another day. But
that would be a crazy twist if they actually did that in the South Park.
Quest to get the bet removed ends up being successful, which means that his $1,400 is safe. He has a chat with Kyle about it, who reveals that he knew that his mom never actually planned to strike Gaza. We then cut to Kyle's mom giving Netanyahu a stern talking to as the credits roll.
Alright, you ready for my call out? This is what I'm guessing she's gonna say. Because of the atrocities you are doing in Gaza, it's making Jews around the world unsafe.
There you are, Mr. Netanyahu! Killing thousands and flattening neighborhoods, then wrapping yourself in Judaism like it's some shield from criticism. You're making life for Jews miserable and life for American Jews impossible!
So now let's talk...
Yeah, no, sorry. Life for American Jews, it's not Netanyahu's fault, actually. You could say that it's Israel's life is impossible because of what he did. All right, that's valid. But no, sorry. Because this is like the lame move that everyone does. Every time I see like a woke Jew talking about it, it's like it's Netanyahu's fault that people are assaulting us in America. No, it's really not. It's really the guy that assaults you fault that they're assaulting you in America. Also, they did this before, like, you know, Israel ever attacked Gaza. So realistically, no, it's really not Netanyahu's fault. But anyway, that is definitely public sentiment by a lot of retards that don't actually think about it. So that's fine. All in all, great episode. A great episode of South Park. It really is. I have my nitpicks. I'm obviously doing commentary here, so Don't get me wrong, I think this is a great episode of South Park. It's absolutely hilarious. The whole bet thing, no, that's amazing. That's good. This was a good episode.
Talk about my feelings on this episode as a whole. In my opinion, this might have been the best episode of the season so far. It felt very cohesive.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm really happy you liked it too. Because again, I think that the whole mix of like the Jews control the media, the poly market, the run by Jews, run by Trump, the Trump Jew alliance, the like all that thing, that's amazing.
A way that the other episodes haven't. I feel like the other episodes of the season have had trouble tying the plots together in a way that makes sense, considering their insistence to continue with the Trump plotline. It definitely felt like the Trump stuff kind of derailed those plots sometimes, but here I think it was integrated super well. Also, I really liked that it wasn't insistent on just making fun of the stuff Trump is doing. It definitely feels like they're moving towards a more original storyline for Trump, and it is incredibly refreshing to not just see them rip.
I'm really glad that they're not just sitting there criticizing random stuff that he does, because that's just like tried and cringe
on him for whatever he's doing in the news this week. Now, don't get me wrong, obviously they still kind of did that. They still criticized him, but it was much more focused on the FCC's willingness to follow his orders rather than Trump himself. I also thought they did a great job handling the topic of Israel and Palestine, making a point to make the clear distinction between Jewish people and the actions of Israel, while simultaneously...
Yeah, like, again, I do think that that's valid. There obviously is a difference between Jewish people and the actions of Israel, but realistically, the people that don't like the Jews don't see it that way. That's the issue. The issue is this, I'll give you an example. Hassan Piker just went out and criticized Israel for buying TikTok. Israel didn't buy TikTok. A Jew in America has shares in TikTok. But Hassan says Israel owns TikTok now. Like, do you understand what I mean? The people that don't like Israel don't like the Jews. Hamas, the guys that started the war, they say themselves... Do you know what the Hamas slogan is? The Hamas slogan is, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. If there is any tree, the tree and the Jew was hiding behind that tree, the tree will shout, there is a Jew hiding behind me. Come kill the Jew. If there is a rock with a Jew hiding behind the rock will shout out, there is a Jew hiding behind me. Come kill the Jew. That is the Hamas slogan. They say it themselves. They say they want to do this. They also say it about Christians, by the way. They say they want to wipe out, they want to rid the world of Jews and Christians. So, realistically, when they say shit like that, it's kind of them that's not making the differentiation between Israel and the Jews.
Not going easy on Israel at all. I thought it was super smart to use Kyle's mom as the focus for
the Ultra Karen, the only one that could could absolutely destroy Netanyahu is a Karen. I agree.
The episode, considering her previous history of going to some extreme lengths to get her way. At a certain point in the episode, you begin to wonder if maybe...
For me, what I find absolutely hilarious about this episode, by the way, because look, I'll make my criticisms and shit, but obviously I think this is funny as fuck. The fact that all the Jews just have like a line directly to the prime minister, oh my god, that is amazing. Like on the one hand, she's making the point that Israel and the Jews are not connected. On the other hand, she has an audience with the prime minister, like instantly, like yeah, all right, all the Jews are actually like controlling the world, you know. That's amazing, dude. Is that not amazing? I think that's fucking awesome. It's like, there is a difference between Israel and Jews. Anyway, I'm just gonna walk into the fucking prime minister's office. All right, dude.
Maybe she actually will strike Gaza. And of course, the fact that by the end, Cartman is actually fighting against anti-Semitism because he's afraid he might lose his bet, only for him to find out that he actually would have won his bet if he hadn't gotten it removed. It was just textbook Cartman, and it worked incredibly well. Speaking of Cartman, we finally got an episode that focused on the boys. It was exactly what I've been waiting for this entire season, and I was so happy to finally see Kyle play a large part in the episode. A Kyle Cartman episode is a formula that is pretty hard to mess up in my opinion, and the episode proved how great it can be when done correctly. I also really liked the emphasis on the prediction market gambling, because it was kind of the glue that held all the different plot lines together. And of course, I have to mention how great the twist reveal of evil JD Vance was. JD. Obviously, I already really liked his character just because his design and voice were funny, but
you know why I like it? Because JD is actually kind of fucking cooking in the government. Like, that dude is going around, he's fucking beefing with people, he's calling people dipshits on Twitter. Like, bro, this dude's...
With this reveal, they've really added another
also, he's gonna be the next president of the United States.
Dimension to his character and seem to be preparing for something big, and I'm stoked to see where they go with it.
My guess is it'll be Peter Thiel Antichrist thing. I think they're gonna go that path.
Brown, this was
because he has known connections to Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is an anagram of the reptile. Also, Peter Thiel believes that in transhumanism, like, surpass your human bounds and, like, fucking upload your consciousness to the fucking cloud or some shit. Like, he goes really hard.
a really great episode.
That dude's a whack job.
They had a lot of things to say, and they somehow managed to fit it all into one episode without it feeling disjointed. Honestly, this one felt the most reminiscent of classic South Park out of anything they've made in a long time. It was cohesive, topical, biting, concise, and most importantly, really funny.
Bro, Netanyahu should have said, like, the Jewish people have suffered a Holocaust. We have the right to do whatever the fuck we want now. I feel like that would have been pretty good. That would have been pretty funny. Netanyahu not mentioning the Holocaust, impossible difficulty. I'm just saying. That would be awesome. But no, it's interesting. I really wish they would have gone maybe in more depth in, like, the Israel-Palestine conflict, because obviously it's really not as simple as Israel just decided to go and kill some random Arab guys, and now it's rough for Jews around the world. But, whatever. Anywho, I think it's just a funny episode. I'm not watching South Park for geopolitical commentary. I'm watching South Park for funny parody, and they did a good job.
I really don't have any complaints about this episode. Everything was done super well. My only complaint is that we're gonna have to wait another 3 weeks before the next episode, which sucks, but honestly, if it means keeping up this level of quality, I am more than happy to wait. So that's it. I'll talk to you guys again soon.
That was a great video. I'll link it in the description. Anyway, so yes, that's South Park. Absolutely. Fuck yeah, dude. I think it's funny. I think this is a good episode. Not gonna lie. Anyway, it's getting a little warm out, so I'm gonna go talk to the Jews that control the weather to cool shit down. But meanwhile, have yourself a most wonderful, wonderful evening, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye. Like, subscribe, and this video was streamed live on kick.com/Nuxanor. See you there. Stay weird, fam.